Hello, I'm Engineer Kalembo Kefas, and welcome. Today, I want to share with you how I founded Hero Control Systems, which is a parent company that owns ZStudy. Starting ZStudy has been something that I've been working on since I was very young, but not as a business then. I was educated through what we can term as educational technology. This is learning through technology. So at my time, I was using radio to learn between my first grade and the grade 7. So it is from that time where the interest of using educational tools as means of learning started. Now, later on, I started ZStudy, which is an educational technology company that focuses on teacher training, provision of STEM kits, as well as virtual labs. So these are tools that enhances the innovation and the creativity of the learners, as well as simplifying the teaching process of the learners by the teacher. Schools are not easily accessible, and those schools that are accessible are quite a distance away from, the residential place or the villages, if I can call it that way. So I attended radio between my first grade and my 7th grade, simply because there was no school nearby where I was staying, and there were no much educated teachers at the time. So mostly you find that we used to call them teacher pupil or pupil teacher. These are pupils who finish their grade 12, and then they start teaching other people in the community. So learning through the radio was more easier because there was a lady who was instructing as the radio is playing on, going through lesson to lesson, and then these pupil teachers were just there to guide where you didn't understand, or if the English they used was big enough for you not to understand, so they were just there to guide you. So this school meant that the radio has to be working. So if the radio develops a fault, you have to fix it if you are to continue learning. So it was that or nothing. I think that's what necessitated the innovativeness in me that led to start building and repairing radios at quite a young age. And furthermore, people also around the community realized the potential that I'm able to fix and repair these radios, and they could start bringing their radios to me to repair for them as well. For some, it could be free, but for others, definitely they used to pay. And money was not a medium of payment, of course, but it was maybe barter system. They would give you something in exchange for you to fix a radio for them like that. After my grade 7, I of course proceeded to go and finish my grade 12, and then I went to the university, the Commonwealth University, and then from there I studied mechatronics engineering. And so mechatronics engineering, for those who may not know, it's an engineering study that was introduced by Professor Clive Gio and the CBU Senate in the, I think that should be 9-10 years ago. So we should have been the 3rd or the 4th intake that came out of mechatronics engineering. So it more focuses on a combination of electronics, software engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and control systems. So it's a hybrid. I think mechatronics came as a result of advancement in industrial machines. So they came up with a program that should prepare an individual should be able to understand all these facets of the machine as they repair or build these kind of machines. So mostly mechatronics engineers have a wide understanding of different industrial aspects, if you can say that. All the skills that I had gained by the time I was graduating from the CBU. I think when I was in my 3rd year from the CBU, I got to work with an American company, actually, whilst I was still a student. It's called Manhattan 2. So this particular company focuses on building products that are for research and development in climate change and energy conservation. So my role there was to design circuits that they would use as they're building these systems. So I think after I successfully participated in that project for almost 2 years, to the point when I was just graduating, I think I just felt to say I can do this, because if an American company can hire me while I'm here as a student, it means there's something that I don't see in myself that they would have seen. So it's at that point where I just said I'm gonna try and do something that is not here. And that also coupled with challenges to find local companies that do the things that we do at the ZStudy. Because usually when you're an engineering student, we get to a point where we have to make projects. And every student in Zambia, they import whatever they use to make their project from China. There's no local company that makes stuff like that. So I think these two things just concluded that I'm supposed to do something about this. So that's how I ended up starting ZStudy as a way of solving that problem, but also as a way of running just a business. With ZStudy, we focus more on educational problems. So one of the problems that we solve is lack of educational technology materials that schools need to use, especially where it comes to STEM adoption. So there's been a heavy sensitization of STEM adoption. There's been a lot of talking on how this can change, the careers of the learners, as well as just the economical, status of the nation, if we are to be more innovative and starting at an early age through STEM and education. But one thing that has stood out is that there's no way you can find these materials that you need to use in teaching STEM or learning STEM like that. So with ZStudy, we provide those STEM kits per se. So STEM kits are basically electronic kits that allows someone to learn science, mathematics, engineering, and technology like that. But the other thing that we also provide are what we call virtual labs. So at ZStudy, virtual labs solve the problem of expensive laboratory materials. So most schools, whether private or government, their labs are not fully functional. And it's because the materials there are very expensive and they require to be replaced from time to time. Now with our virtual labs, it means that these labs can be functional in a virtual space without needing to replace the materials from time to time. But someone can say, are we replacing the physical experimentation with the virtual one? That's not the case. The idea with the virtual lab is to allow children to start experimenting with STEM or sciences or mathematics at an early age, because virtual labs removes safety concerns. Because the child is, running chemical experimentation with test tube on a computer, it doesn't guarantee that it will spill on them and cause harm on their body or in any way. So it could be a grade 2, grade 3 child. They can be exposed to these things at a young age. Then as they grow, then they can now start working with more physical laboratories like that. But for older people who are probably in grade 12, grade 7 and all that, who are able to, take precautions as they are working with these experimentations, most schools does not give them an opportunity to do this, because these test tubes are expensive and the consumable materials that are used in the laboratory are also expensive. So mostly you can be at a school for years without even seeing a laboratory. But with virtual labs, children are allowed to explore, ask questions, use problem-based or project-based learning. And then at the moment when now they are exposed to actual physical laboratories, which usually happens in grade 12 in most of the schools in Zambia, these are people who have been experimenting with these things for a long time in a virtual space. The only difference is now in a physical space, which is the case if you go to study medicine or even being a pilot. Most of the time you spend playing in a virtual space. People mostly call it simulation. You play with simulations for quite a number of time, and until the point where now you're able to interact with an aeroplane in real life. So my vision or my dream is to see a Zambia where we can manufacture our own products that we can use. Not only buying assembled stuff from China and then you come and label them with names here. Having engineers graduating from our universities in Zambia, sitting in some corner somewhere, designing products that speak to our local needs, and then manufacture those products. That's my greatest vision that I look at every day. So I want to get to a point where we can manufacture Zambian-made phone, something that we can use for our own. We can design a radio, a 5-band radio that my grandmother in the village can listen to Radio 4 or Radio Chengra, things like that, through a Zambian-made radio. Things like these cameras we are using, we should be able to make these things. That's my dream, like that.